Hello and welcome to the Morning Skate Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell, here to talk about the Tuesday, February 13th NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. DJ, we are live over on YouTube, on your YouTube channel, on all your podcast platforms. How you doing on this fine Monday evening?
Wait, we're live. Cool. Are people gonna wait? Are people gonna join? Oh, this is fun.
No. Nobody's actually going to join. I'm saying we're
Oh,
on YouTube.
we're just recording.
Because I want to make sure that people who have the podcast and make that a part of their routine, if they want to go to YouTube, they do it, and I often forget, so I just brought it up off the bat. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay, yeah, I think we're about 900 followers short from me giving away a Rasmus Ristolainen autographed Buffalo Sabres picture. So yeah, get on over there, as Matt's talking about. You're gonna want to subscribe for free. If you again want to get in on that autographed Rasmus Ristolainen Buffalo Sabres picture, nothing could probably motivate you more. No, everything's good. Just dejected, of course, after a miserable weekend. One of my worst in record. What are you gonna do? How was your weekend?
Pretty bad. Just it was fine. Just normal store brand nonsense instead of the total, I guess, awful nonsense, which is a start.
Mhm.
But having Patrick Mahomes in overtime marched on the field, not just to make me sad, but also to steal four figures out of my DraftKings balance and turn it into dust, was pretty painful. But whatever. I had a good Saturday of NHL because of
You
these
know,
Rainmakers
I certainly
contests.
don't.
So
Yeah, I certainly don't want to talk about football, but I just find it very, very funny for some reason that like the entire discourse after the NFC Championship game was that Dan Campbell's a fraud and the analytics are stupid and no one knows what they're doing and like blah blah. And then everything after the Shanahan doesn't go for it on fourth down in overtime is what a gutless coward, what an idiot. This guy sucks. He has to know what he's doing. Fire the whole staff. And it's like, okay, so everyone's just stupid, right? Like we're just gonna move forward knowing that. I like, am I wrong?
yeah, everyone just wants to be angry because it's never that Patrick Mahomes is an alien sent from outer space to win football games. It's that this stupid decision that was a coin flip would have actually changed everything. Just clear
Yeah,
nonsense and
I like
bullshit. So
I I am just team go for it. Like I'm gonna say that. Like I don't really care. And when Dan Campbell went for it, I thought, this is an odd one, but like whatever, right? Like I'm never gonna argue with it. I definitely thought it was a bit of a gutless move, but there's a lot of gutless things that happen all the time. I mean, people that Scheffler and Justin Thomas to win a golf tournament, and people like to do stupid things, including me who bet Keith Mitchell. So no one had, I'm guessing, Charlie Hoffman. I don't know why I'm tangenting on golf now, but yeah, just every sport it felt like in some way
Charlie
found a way to
Hoffman
hurt.
didn't even win. So
No, who was it? I'm wrong. I can't think of the name. Who won? Nick
the
Taylor?
Canadian Nick Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, Nick Taylor. Okay, yeah. Okay, the guy I played last week in DFS that missed the cut. No, he didn't miss the cut. There was no miscut. The guy that was just atrocious last week. Right. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just like it's every week the same garbage for me right now. It feels like where I get a 6 of 6 golf cut and all of my guys are complete gustless losers. NFL, I was 1v1 off the nuts midway through the third quarter. I make $0. At hockey, I think I finally kind of put everything together to win some bets. I get absolutely shellacked. Some of it feels just bad run. Some of it, I question myself a little bit, maybe not spending enough time on a couple things, but I'm gonna just kind of get back. I'll just say this and we'll get into the pod because most of this no one cares about. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to let's just get in the habit of straight betting things. Let's get back betting the best things on the board and not trying to galaxy brain myself into beating the sports books because it's I think me believing in something a little bit too much and not just actually attacking with the edges. So gonna get a lot back to just straight betting things. And if you want to parlay the stuff together, and I'm sure as soon as I stop parlaying it, it'll all hit. So yeah, that's how it feels right now though.
All right. Yeah, for my what is it? February, my February resolution, I will stop losing in daily fantasy sports contests, and we'll continue to give out the good info here on the Morning Skate podcast, though. So we do have 11
That
games,
easy.
so I want to be mindful of that. Why is there a stupid stream? Is this on our thing where there's live comments or whatever? No.
Yeah,
Okay, never mind.
it's picked
Never
up
mind.
for some reason. There you go. I can get out of it.
Okay.
Do you want
Okay.
this?
No, I was just I don't think it's actually on the YouTube. I think I was just being dumb. It was like the example comment of like, this is where a comment would go.
I know
And I
exactly
thought
what
it
you
was
mean.
displaying.
It
Okay.
was
Well,
selected, and I don't know why.
okay.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought
Okay.
you did that, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
11 games. Want me to read them off?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'll do that first. We have Tampa at Boston. This is a 6.5. Boston minus 166 home favorites. LA at Buffalo. Big news here to keep an eye on is, will Victor Arvidsson be returning, and where will he slot in? There seemed like there was some, I would say, arguments. There were just like a lot of people in LA Twitter asking, and the beat reporters trying to like decipher. And then one guy finally said they have 777 right now or something, and like they don't know what it's going to be. But LA road favorites minus 148 in Buffalo, 6 over under, could have Arvidsson back. Anaheim on the road at Montreal. I think this one, I mean, this is probably where some people are going to find some value. It's a 6.5. Montreal is a minus 155 favorite. Columbus at Ottawa. I don't think we need to get into the Ridley Gregg Morgan Riley situation too much. We'll touch on it if you'd like after this, but minus 192 Ottawa. They're playing well. It's the highest total on the slate. Yeah, by a decent margin. Nothing absolutely bananas, but Ottawa should be very popular. Their total is to the moon, at least via the sports books. Minus 142 on that over, minus 192 favorite. So I think they'll be pretty popular. St. Louis at Toronto, as I just mentioned. No Morgan Riley. He's definitely, I mean, I guess we don't know if he's suspended at all, but I think getting the in-person hearing means there is a suspension. So we don't know the total games yet, unless if something came out that I'm unaware of. There's still minus 205 favorites. Jake McCabe up on the top power play. We'll obviously touch on that. 6.5 over under. Pick them there. The Colorado Avalanche are going to Washington, take on the Capitals. It's minus 162 for Colorado on the road, 6.5. Whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. I'm not that interested in that game off the cuff. Seattle at the Islanders. Seattle on a back-to-back, right? Yeah, they're playing New Jersey right now, so that'll be.
Yep.
Those will be two teams that'll play. Islanders have been picking up more steam, but this is one of the lower totals at 5.5 on the slate, with back-to-back Seattle, etc. Minus 155 on the Islanders. Carolina is at Dallas, and what also feels like it should be a lower total, but it is a 6.5. Pretty much a pick 'em there. Dallas minus 122 home favorite. New Jersey on a back-to-back is going to Nashville. Nashville minus 135, 6.5. Okay. Vancouver at Chicago. You're never going to believe it. Vancouver's minus 305. It's a 6 over under, shading towards the under. Chicago is pretty bad, but Bedard's back on the ice, but he's in a non-contact jersey, so we do not expect him this week, I don't think. And then Detroit is at Edmonton. Final game of the night, the second highest total, minus 122 on that over 6.5. Edmonton, pretty big favorite at minus 218. So anything you want to say off the start? And then anything you wanted to say about Ridley Gregg, slapshot / Morgan Riley, punch to face?
I mean, I don't care about the actual play. The hilarity ensuing is peak comedy. I mean, Ryan Reeves coming in with the tough guy act is very clever because, wow, well, where were you on the ice? Where were you to stop this? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're absolutely atrocious at hockey. So you're costing your team games against Ottawa. Like, okay, great, good job, kid. And Greg is fine, so there's no long-standing impacts. And the other thing to say is Morgan Riley is going to be suspended. His meeting is tomorrow at 1:00, so he's out. And Jake McCabe is power play 1 in his stead, which of course is relevant for daily fantasy. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? And hopefully you're not just going to repeat 31 thoughts like you typically do here.
First off, 32 thoughts. Second off,
Oh, that's right. I
no,
haven't
I mean,
listened in a while. In case
I really
you
don't. I
forget.
really. I'm wearing my. I found this in St. Catharines. It's a Montana's
Oh, yeah.
Barbecue and Grill. Try the ribs. Yeah. Anyways, though, no, it's basic. Just like I found everything to be pretty entertaining about it. Like just like from the moment he wound up for that slap shot till the discourse on Twitter still continues onwards. Like I just find it entertaining, and like I'm happy. Like no one's injured, right? We can all just have fun with this. And I like whatever you want to say about it. Like it definitely actually raised some people's interest. And as football ends, that's I think good for the sport. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it either way. Whatever anyone wants to do. Like Morgan Riley did it, and if his team said thank you, then what am I going to say? And if Ridley Gregg is, I think it's fun. Like do that, have fun. Like start controversy. Like I like it. I would love for the Sabres to be involved in something like that and competitive. So we can. That's it. Do you want to
Yeah,
read
no.
a thing now?
Yeah. So this podcast, as is often, is sponsored by DraftKings, by the DraftKings Sportsbook, I suppose, is the more official sponsor. But of course, now that I have it, it's gone. All right. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. DJ, you went through several of the options on the table here with 11 games, so you'll be able to find something that you like. I'm sure of it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN, the Hockey Podcast Network, THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. DJ, you taking notes? In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY because I will need those later, or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-878 97777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Okay, so we are getting into the 11-game slate here. Yeah, I mean, off the top, Toronto's awfully interesting. With the McCabe value, clearly there's 4 guys besides McCabe who are of interest. We're looking at Edmonton in a fairly good spot. Fool me twice on Ottawa. Is Ottawa going to show up for this matchup against Columbus? I hope so, but that's that. And then not even in terms of the expected goals index, but just generally, we have pretty significant favorites in Vancouver playing Chicago, and Colorado taking on Washington. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting spots here. And with 11 games, it's one of the larger slates we've had in the last, I don't know, couple weeks now. So anything immediately of like, oh, this is a spot I like, or do you just want to get into the first game, Tampa Boston?
We could get into it. I have a few leans early on, and I could say them, but I feel like I kind of like going through the whole slate and then like you changing my mind on a few things because oftentimes you will, and then getting to it at the end. But the only thing I think I'm going to be unwavering on is Edmonton. Other than that, I think everything else I'm pretty open for conversation on. So
All
yeah,
right.
why don't we get right into it? Boston. Yeah, let me start with Boston quick in case you didn't see. They did start practice with Coyle, Marchand, and Pasternak. So they're gonna, conceivably go best on best, or they're gonna try to match up to the Kucherov Stamkos point line. So both top lines are kind of all together. I guess unless if you want to say that there's a better center than Charlie Coyle on Boston, which I don't think you're honestly right. I can't believe I'm saying it. But I think at this point you just have to admit defeat and say that Charlie Coyle is the best center on that team. Very sad for a very good team to have the best center be Charlie Coyle. But here we are. I think I'm going to fade this one, just price considered. I get it. You're going to either get Pasternak or Kucherov in what I believe will be a very low ownership situation. If I had to, gun to head, I think I'm just going Tampa 1. Just feels more dynamic and explosive. And I think they'll be just, sub 4%, like in that range. I really do believe that. That's the time to jump on it. So I think it's just a pretty pivoty, leveragey type play in a game I don't like. I like the under on this game, if anything. Under 6.5 feels pretty strong. But if I was going to gun to head, I'd take Tampa 1.
Yeah, I think I agree, and my main concern is that Charlie Coyle's not on the top power play. Seems like they're keeping Zaka and JVR up there, so obviously Coyle is probably too expensive for what he offers as a fantasy player at 5,400. But without the top power play playing, it's really hard to see him making his way into my lineups. So I don't think I'm really interested in spending any sort of money on this game. We see on the expected goals trends, nothing about this matchup looks all that good. The Boston, they're scoring, which is maybe you expect that from Boston, and Tampa's not been fantastic in that. But this defensive number has been getting better, so possibly that's just noise. Possibly that's Vasilevsky rounding into form a little bit with a 912 in his last 10 games versus a 900 on the season. So I'm a little bit just, let's just move on from this game. But I do think we can still go to the Tampa blue line for some punts. Darren Radish at 3K, just, without Sergachev, that's fine. And then Chernak remains sub 3K for 20 plus minutes of ice time. Nothing fancy, but they'll get the job done in a pinch. If for some reason you don't want to play Jake McCabe or someone else on this slate. So you covered the news. Anything else you want to say about this game before LA Buffalo?
No, you covered the other part about Coyle. He's 5,400 and without the power play run. That I think honestly the best note here is really Tampa defense. That's really strong. But let's move over to LA and Buffalo. LA is conceivably the better spot here. You could squint, I think, and maybe find a reason to consider this game altogether, but I think it's obviously LA, but we just don't know what the lines are. And like I said before we started, there was more ambiguity than I expected. And the beat reporters seemed like they were actually trying to help people. Like, no, like we just don't know because the colors they're wearing are not helping us. Like it doesn't. They tweeted out some ideas of what it might be, but we're not going to probably know until tomorrow. And that also includes, like I mentioned, if Victor Arvids is even playing or not. So back in top six role was like what they conceived by the color of his jersey, and obviously not contact that would in a contact sweater, I should probably say it, would lead me to again someone's going to come out. I would be hard pressed to assume it's like like I don't know who it is. Like that's kind of like you would say, oh, is it just Byfield? Well, this guy's absolutely on a bender since the All Star break. He had 3 points in his I guess there's been one game, but he was on a bender in that one game since the All Star break. Trevor Moore leading in goals, Adrian Kempe, Fiala. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, he's the 5. So I don't know who. Like it just makes for a lot of conversation. Any thoughts on LA? And then
Yeah, I mean, obviously, us guessing at the lines isn't the most useful content since that is theoretically news we should get prior to the slate start. But yeah, I would be pretty surprised if they finally have the team finally shows up. I mean, they rocked Edmonton. This game. I know that the expected goals and blah blah, like this game, it never felt like Edmonton was in it. So I would be very surprised if the top six got shaken up at all. They didn't play Alex Turcotte at all in this game, so it seems pretty clear that they need a fourth line center. I think that could be Anderson Dolan, and then that just means Arvidsson slides into the Dubois line. But yeah, we just don't know. We saw various jersey colors and nothing concrete, so it's all basically just a guess. I would not be surprised if he didn't even play in this game. It's just maybe it's just a slower process than anything else. So I'm not interested in Arvidsson, even if he does play. I don't think the role is going to be there. There's no reason to suspect like a immediate power play job or anything of the sort. So and he's not 2,500, he's 4,800. So like that's a very meaningful price and more expensive than Byfield. So I think that's relatively just uninteresting. What is interesting is I think any of Kempe, Moore, Byfield are in play. I'm a little bit cooler on Kopitar and Deneau at the center position, but those three dudes for LA have really carried the load for most of the season. Kevin Fiala, he's getting cheaper, so like he's cheaper than maybe you would expect him to be. I don't know. He's bouncing around price wise, but he's just not been very good. So I would play him only in a stack with either Moore or Kempe, in all honesty. But these top six lines, like top two lines against Buffalo, just it's a good spot. So not the highest of interests, given the other options on the slate, but perfectly valid ones in the mid tier. And I don't think people will be clicking on Trevor Moore. They haven't been all season. They're on the road. They're not going to be huge favorites. And then I think that's something you could very easily do and feel confident about.
Yeah, I mean the Buffalo side of things, it's a terrible matchup. This is an LA team that just shut out and decently convincingly an Edmonton Oilers team. I don't think there's any reason to have a ton of interest in anything in Buffalo. Obviously, with the exception of Tage Thompson, where 6,500 and he's just not been good. But if you believe in this player, you're just buying the absolute lowest of the low on him. He was with Okposo and Skinner, not all that enticing. I think really at the end of the day, if you're playing Buffalo though, like, it's just Tage and Dahlian. Owen Power also went down with an injury in practice. It sounds like it's very just up in the air, questionable, being reevaluated, etc. At this point, there's no Samuelson. It's a disaster on that blue line. So I kind of feel like I'm willing to make an argument or a case that Rasmus Dahlin could turn into more of a Roman Josi type. I mean, he's priced like it at this point. So if that is something you want to try to project at this price, I think it's fair, but it's such a bad matchup that really it is an MME or like you're really trying to get different with a play. But, this is a guy that could be 30 minutes, albeit in a terrible matchup. Maybe you just take a note, write it down, and look at it for the next slate. But
yeah, and with Power, there's clearly a minutes vacuum. I'm just eyeballing some like shots blocked and shots taken per 60 minutes, and it is an absolute nightmare. Basically every dude has the exact same profile on this blue line, and we talked about Ryan Johnson, I think, lastly. And then he immediately went back to playing 10 minutes. So I'm a little bit disturbed by that. I don't think that there's I just don't think that, even though there is clearly value here, that there's anyone who's obviously going to soak it up. And like, yeah, Dahlin's probably a better play at 6,800 than he was before, assuming the Power doesn't play, but is 27 minutes against LA at 6,800 on a huge slate all that worthwhile? I don't know. It doesn't really strike me as something like that I'm going to be breaking down the walls for. So I'm just going to stay away from Buffalo. They just inconceivably continue to get some ownership on random slates. I'm not sure if this is one of those, but the pricing is going to look attractive to certain optimizers that just aren't updating for how terrible this Sabres team has been, and how Page has just not been good. I mean, there's really nothing going on when he's on the ice. It's not like last year where everything was good. There was, high tempo, high whatever, just nothing. So yeah, I'm just yeah. I mean, give me LA or nothing, and let's move on.
I agree. Okay, let's move on to Anaheim at Montreal. As I kind of went over this game, I said that this could be a game where people could find some value. I'm not even sure if I really believe that after I pull it up, because really it's probably just Anaheim, and that's a big contingent on if these injuries stick. We'll get to Anaheim. Let's just start with Montreal really quick. I don't hate this spot at all. I mean, it's obviously Vegas sportsbook. Your sports books, if you will, your DraftKings. Maybe you've heard of them as a sponsor. They're kind of giving Montreal at minus 155 a pretty good price and a lot of respect in this matchup. The 6.5, and all of the offense has continued to come through the same unit, more or less. And they haven't really priced up Cole Caulfield. And Nick Suzuki has, in my opinion, taken a pretty decent step forward. And I know that you clowned on him a little bit. I totally agree with you, by the way. I'm not arguing that he's an actual, elite number one center in this league that, let's stop at the, everything and drop down and bow to Nick Suzuki. But he has been playing very, very well. I think it's, it's a joint effort that also comes with former first overall pick, Yuri Slafkovsky, who's absolutely been miles better since the turn of the new year, and very, very enticing at 3,600. Mike Matheson, a podcast favorite, a favorite of many of our listeners, so I don't want to leave him out of this mix. It seems a little bit easier there. So I kind of wanted to start with that quad assuming they stay together, which I didn't see practice run, but I assume they will. They've cooked. Let's start there. And the reason I'm really saying this all again is to just point this out. The price hasn't really gone up much, a little bit.
Yeah, so we don't so there was no practice Monday because they played a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, so mandated off day, whatever. So we should get them Tuesday morning skate, which will confirm these lines. And you raise fine points about the Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky stuff still just not being expensive enough for the minutes they're playing and for the production that they've had. It's not been very consistent, but it's been there. And so for that price, you're just looking for ceiling. Clearly, these guys have it. I'm a little bit intrigued by this Joshua, Alex Newhook like second line this setup. Newhook's a guy who was really good to start the season. I mean, really good is probably overselling it, but he was playing well at the time of his injury, and then he missed 2 months of the year. And then he comes back and, whatever. He has 3 shots in each of the 2 games, but he's been on that top power play unit. So I like that. And then Joshua is just, he's out here doing things. It seems like they like him, like organizationally. And at 2,600, 3,300 for Newhook, I mean, that's clearly just a fine way to punt 2 positions and feel, pretty good about it. So not to say that I can't see myself playing Montreal 1, but with Anaheim, we're getting a bunch of dudes back. So I think that there's I think that there's some merit to just sort of full fading the Montreal side. From Anaheim, in their practice on Sunday, we saw Henrique, Carlson, Strome. We saw Vetrano, McTavish, Terry. That's awfully interesting. Max Jones returns. He's with Lundestrom and Silverberg. So, I mean, you're talking, 2 guys who've just not been playing back in the lineup there, and McTavish and Max Jones. This is pretty much what their lines will be going forward, assuming no more injuries. And Zegras, his timeline TBA. And defensively, Minchukov is back, which, when they're playing guys like Gus Lindstrom and whoever the hell else is on the blue line, like, that's a pretty big step up as well. So I think that for me just rules out Montreal entirely. It's not like there's anything in the underlyings that scream Montreal either. And so if you're looking for positive signs on Anaheim, well, Montreal is a terrible team. I mean, we know that they're one of the worst defensive teams out there. They just give up a touchdown to the Blues. And then as far as power plays go, they seem pretty rational. It's the same sort of, I guess, old guy unit as before: Silverberg, Strome, Henrique, Vetrano, Fowler. And then Minchikov is quarterbacking the Terry, McTavish, Carlson with Max Jones. And so those are 2 perfectly fine units. They're all going to be just, I mean, super inexpensive. The most expensive guy out here is Vetrano at 6,100. So I like going down the Anaheim route, but do you have any thoughts on which Anaheim path you would pick?
I mean, that's the most frustrating part of this entire endeavor is, I mean, you already said without saying it, there's no Owen Zellweger. There's, they're just kind of kneecapping, I think, the upside of that power play unit by playing Lacombe or whatever. But
No, Minchikov is back.
Minchikov's, oh, yeah, you're right. Minchikov should be back. It's confirmed he's in?
Yes.
Okay. I think I was going through Troy Terry at this point. I think that's just the way I'm doing things. So just give me, I don't think I'm going like overstacking on Anaheim, as I feel like you're almost alluding to. Yeah.
Yeah, and Terry, McTavish, Vetrano is very much going to get, like, even though it's split across 2 power plays, those are the guys who the
Yeah.
power plays are going to run through. So it's a bit more pricey than
Yeah.
obviously mixing in the Max Joneses or Brendan
Yeah.
Stromes. But yeah, I will strongly consider that because, again, I mean, Montreal is. I don't have the exact rankings, but I do think they're bottom 5 last 10 games. They're not a bottom 5 team by the standings, but I don't think it's that surprising that they don't look very good in looking at their underlyings. So yeah, it looks like based on this, they are 3rd worst over the last 10 games, and that's all adjusted for opponent and everything else to try and contextualize some of those performances. So yeah, keep Anaheim in mind, and we might get further confirmation of things, but this is their final practice, and there was no sort of like Killorn could be back, and I don't know how that would shake things up, but I'm not expecting him right now to play on Tuesday. So just keep a second eye on that if you're looking for Anaheim. All right, Columbus and Ottawa. I should say with Anaheim also, I'm not playing Silverberg. Even though I like Max Jones as a player, Silverberg Lundestrom is very different than having McTavish as your center. So I just don't think the minutes are safe enough for Silverberg, even though he remains at 2,500 or 2,600 with this decent power play role. Just not going there personally. All right. Columbus, Ottawa. You got anything for me here?
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa, like I said from the beginning of this, feels like a pretty good spot, and it could be a bit chalky. They definitely have the highest implied team total. Maybe it's probably somewhat close if you actually went through it. But Ottawa probably get to this game. Like I said, they've won a few games here in a row coming off the All-Star break, and they broke Toronto media. So the last game, it was the Pinto line that kind of dominated. That's staying together with Greg and Tarasenko. Norris, Bathurst is the Chuck, which was Norris, the Chuck on power play one, but it was not Batherson. It was Shabbat, Pinto, and Giroux. I kind of think that sticks, but we didn't see it in practice. But I kind of like that a bit. Even if you wanted to play Pinto Shabbat, I would be fine with that as well. But that Norris, the Chuck, Shabbat triple seems pretty cool to me. That's kind of where I'm starting. And you're going to get a lot of big minutes. Like I'm alluding to, like that Pinto line was really good. Pinto led them in ice time last game, and they combined for 3 goals, including the empty netter. Actually, Greg was out there with other guys, but it doesn't really matter. They combined for a ton of 5-on-5 goodness against Toronto, who I respect a good bit more than Columbus. So there's a couple options, like I'm saying, and of course, I think it'll get overlooked, but could look at Chikrin, Stutzel, and maybe I don't know Joseph or Giroux if you want. I don't think it's going to be very popular because it's a bit uglier, but I do think that they're not really a 1A or a 1-2 power play unit. I think it's 1A, 1B, and Chikrin is also going to get overlooked comparatively to Shabbat because of where they're ranking, and they're like the same price. So Ottawa definitely the biggest interest here. Do you have a lean on any of this stuff?
I mean, I think I just got to side with Josh Norris. The 4,500 price tag is just downright disrespectful. He finally got on the got on the score sheet. I believe it had been, I don't know, 10 games since he had scored. But that 10-game stretch was preceded by a stretch where he scored 5 games in a row. So, like, I don't know what there is with him and streakiness or whatever, but Norris is clearly a guy that, long term I like. You listen to the other daily show or, the other 3-time-a-week show out there. We're not 3 times a week, whatever. You know what I mean? You listen to Stochastic and they're just the most anti Norris guys out there. Which, whatever. I get some of their arguments, but also you can't replace goal scoring talent in this league. And, teams like Seattle and, we see it all the time. These teams that just can't score. Norris is a guy who has proven his ability to score goals. He is in the role that you would want him to be in to score those goals on the top power play and the nominal top line. And 4,500 is just simply ridiculous. So, I just don't think I can spend more for Shane Pinto than Norris. I would consider the double stack of the two. They're both centers. They're not going to play it together at 5-on-5. So it's a little bit like how much of just are you buying the hype train on Shane Pinto? It's like I think he's good, but do I think he's 4,900 good on a loaded slate? Probably not. So for me, I'm going Josh Norris. I could see other stacks working its way into consideration, but I think for me, I'm building around Norris if I'm attacking this Ottawa side and just saying this is a 6K player who is in the role we want him to see in a perfect matchup, who is just not priced for that 6K, all things considered. So any interest in Columbus? I mean, we know this Ottawa team is capable of falling flat at any time. So I'm not sure if you saw the latest from yesterday, but before you start speaking, Chinakhov is okay. Do you have him?
No, go.
Okay.
But we get to about
Chinikov is out.
Chinikov.
Roslovic is skating with Gaudreau and Jenner, and then Bemstrom with Sillinger and Texier. The other two lines not changing: Marchenko, Johnson, Voronkov, and fourth line, yeah, Olivier and Corrali and whoever the hell else, maybe Danforth. So, DJ, any interest in these Columbus guys?
Maybe it was last. Let me just look. They had okay, yeah, no, it was last game. They already had it. So I was trying to find it. Yeah, Boquist stuck on that power play one, or like was just out there a lot. Like the power play, it was just like the goal that happened was Boquist, Jenner, Werenski, Gaudreau, and Marchenko. And I think that is the first unit. So that was kind of the one thing I was kind of keeping an eye on is definitely Adam Boquist getting a good run, power play one, etc. Like very good punt option.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just kind of Marchenko. That's kind of the guy I'm just going through at this point. And I think I could just do that too, man, and move on if I'm going to play it. I get that Johnny Gaudreau at 4,200 feels fine. Probably is fine. It's probably playable, but I don't think I'm spending 5,900 on Boone Jenner. So that's about what I'm thinking. That kind of 3-man. And there's other punts that you already sort of alluded to, but Boquist is probably the best punt on this side, in my opinion.
Yeah, the problem with Boquist is that I don't know how much double bonus equity he possesses, and obviously you're paying this little for a defender, and that's not a huge consideration. But like, I don't know. Whenever like Andrew Peak is out here at the same price, and I'm like, maybe he's the guy I want to play, even though the minutes aren't there. It's just the fact that you can get those 10 free points from blocks alone, and 20, 25, 30% of the time, that just feels like maybe I'm just doing something wrong in considering Boquist. And trust me, I'm the biggest long-term Boquist guy out there. It just seems like the time would have already come if he were to do the thing in the NHL. So I'm just a little bit concerned that 3,300 isn't the minimum. There's a ton of other options on the slate. So if I'm targeting Columbus, I don't think I'm doing it because of Boquist necessarily. I think you're doing it because you want to bet on Boone Jenner sub 6K. You want to bet on hey, Roslovic maybe gets this role without Chinikov in the lineup. Maybe he's worthwhile at 3,500 as a player who's been there, done that, and obviously Johnny Gaudreau being just startlingly cheap, coming off a multi-point 5-shot on goal game. All that to say, probably nothing to really like. Though I will proffer that as dismissive I've been of Columbus all season long, pretty much, the last few weeks have been far more impressive, and their underlyings aren't terrible. So if you like Columbus, now's a perfectly fine time to buy in on what I will think will be non-existent ownership. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on it though.
All right, well, let's get to probably one of the more important DFS games to talk about. That is St. Louis at Toronto. Already mentioned, I think, by both of us that Jake McCabe is going to be power play one tomorrow. If you like a guy at 3,600, that can definitely get you a blocks bonus. That Jake McCabe has plenty of those in his game logs. He has been a monstrous rate shooter by any stretch of the imagination. But again, you're only paying 3,600 for a guy that is going to be on the first power play with very, very good players like Austin Matthews and Tavares and Nylander and Mitchell Marner. So I could see myself looking at Toronto. I think they could end up being somewhat popular just because of the savings you get with McCabe. And it's not like Jake McCabe is not a shot taker and also doesn't get much run. I mean, this is the second TOI defenseman last game, and Riley got kicked out with like 3 seconds left. So the role is going to be huge for him. So yeah, I could see a scenario where I look at Matthews, Marner, and McCabe for sure. I think it'll be played because it really helps you afford them. And if they hit their ceilings, Jake McCabe is very likely coming for the ride, in my opinion. And I really just don't respect St. Louis all that much. And they're a playoff team, and they just put up a touchdown. And with all that being said, I still think they're a bit leaky defensively and certainly in net. So I could even conceive of a scenario where I look at the other side as well and try to game stack it. Like, it's tricky, but I think it's doable. So I'll leave it there for now with that, everything I just said, and pass it back to you. What are you thinking here?
Yeah. So the main problem that I'm considering is with an 11 game slate. I believe Toronto will be the most popular team stacked, and I don't see it being necessarily all that close. I guess I haven't really gone through the entire slate, obviously, if we still have many games to discuss. But this is a home spot for Toronto against St. Louis, where there's a clear value defenseman to pair with them versus in Edmonton. You're looking at like RNH as like the value play, which he's 5,600. So like there's just a clear delineation as far as like what you can afford otherwise. And so I think that pushes people onto this, whatever Matthews, Marner, or Tavares, Nylander, and McCabe, and you're just dealing with a bunch of the same builds. And I don't know that Jake McCabe is that good to make it warranted. Like, sure, it's possible he puts up 17, and like that just basically says, oh yeah, like good luck catching me anyone else who played any other defenseman, because odds are the guys who get 20 bombs are going to be double his price. But I just don't think there's that big of a chance that McCabe puts the slate away. I like, like obviously we like Austin Matthews on this show, but he's not been as good volume wise as his counterparts on this slate. And so those are the sort of things that I do care about. Like, it's obvious that Matthews is very, very good and his volume is good, but like, he's 9,800. We're comparing him against the best players in the NHL. And McKinnon and McDavid have just straight up been better by my book. I think they'll be less around, and I think that there's guys in the mid tier who are comparable. So I guess all that to say, I would go with Tavares Nylander if I absolutely had to. But ultimately, I do worry that Toronto will be too owned for me personally, just to sort of build the lineups that I want to build.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I kind of have a couple pivots in mind off of Toronto. And you already mentioned Edmonton, but yeah, we'll get to everything. Anything on St. Louis. I mean, it was very much the power play one that manhandled Montreal with 3 goals. It just seemed like they didn't even waste too much time making that happen either. Thomas absolutely involved in everything. Not the most prolific rate shooter in the world. We talk about that quite often, and you're paying 6,400. You kind of need him to have that kind of 3 assists, and he scored. So 4-point nights to break the slate entirely, but he could get there on less than that. And we know who's coming along. Everyone besides Pavel Buchnevich, as I found out on Sunday. So any thoughts on St. Louis, and if you were going to play them, how you'd play them, or is it just sort of like, no, thank you, they're bad?
They are way too expensive for me personally. Like,
Yeah, that's fine.
What's scary about St. Louis is that their power play has been their Achilles heel all season long, and now they're coming off of 2 games where like their power play has been a weapon for them. And they're going into a Toronto team that just lost its number 1 defenseman. So like, actually, I guess you could argue that Mark Giordano might not play either. And, I don't know that he's much of a penalty kill ace these days, but he eats up a lot of minutes there too. So, like strictly speaking from a power play spot, this is as good as it gets for St. Louis. I'm just unfortunately of the mind that we've basically missed it. Like the prices just don't really reflect the current environment. So while you can certainly play St. Louis 1 and Torrey Krug, like you're paying a ton for the privilege to do so, and I don't think that their matchup's good enough to warrant that.
Yep.
But certainly mileage may vary there because of the injury situation in Toronto, where there's defensively they have nothing left. So it's certainly reasonable to consider them in my estimation, just not something I'll be doing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the price is the problem. We can get over now to Colorado and Washington if you are prepared.
Yeah, I mean, are we prepared to talk about Alex Ovechkin?
Yeah, we want to start there. We can start there. He's cooking. He's back. It's kind of like we kept saying. I feel like we were like crying wolf for 2 months now, and he finally was like, "Fine,
Yep.
I will blow over all the houses. I'm in."
Yeah,
Good to see.
It was.
Wish I took a bit more of an advantage of it. Sorry, what?
No, that's exactly it. It's like, damn, we lost all of our money chasing it down the OV well, and a month later he finally goes, "Oh yeah, I am shooting the exact same as I have been for my last 5 years of my career." He's not prime OV, but like you look at his shit and it's the exact same across the board. His 5-on-5 assist rate is as good as it's ever been. Like his primary assist rate is better than the last 10 years of his career. He just wasn't scoring, and now the pucks are going in. So like, yeah, this price tag of 6,200 is awfully intriguing. So yeah, I'm struggling with it for sure because I like this this Colorado team, but is Washington going to be creative and get them out against the bottom six in Colorado and just throw, whatever, McMichael against McKinnon and just say like, this team's all about getting OV goals. I mean, the underbelly of Colorado's really soft. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we have to have the OV discussion. It's probably now or never as far as like if you're not playing OV in this spot, like, and he's gonna rise in price as he continues to produce, I would imagine, you're probably just never gonna play him again, which is concerning because I kind of want to be on the pro OV side, but it's obviously comes with a lot of consternation against Colorado. So, any thoughts there?
No, that's a really good way of putting it. It's not that I've been completely off of Ovechkin. It's just been a little bit unbelievable to me that I haven't taken more of an advantage of this run where I don't know if we flat out said, I think it's 6 games in a row we scored in, or is it 5 games in a row? 5 games in a row, or only one of which you get the shots bonus, and like that's coming along for the ride. Only 2 of those games are multi-point, and as you're saying, more of them probably could be with the way he's playing. He's actually been very good at moving the puck, so I like it. McMichael more involved in the offense. Like I definitely think they're coming together on a top 6 a bit more. McMichael also made one of the worst passes in overtime I've seen 2 games ago. So keep an eye on him ever making defensive mistakes and getting maybe some flack for it. But
Nope, it
they
was
are,
last game.
in my opinion, was it last? They beat Boston
Yeah.
3-0. That was last. Wait,
No, last
it
game
was
they played
Vancouver. You're right. It was last game. Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
they played twice in a row. Yeah, that was last game. Yikes! By the way, I will add one more time. But along with Ovechkin, and the guy that I always make room for is still John Carlson, who is just blocks bonus machine as of late, shooting fine. The rates are fine, and just not getting rewarded with any points. He's only 2 in that Ovechkin streak. I think it's very much coming. 31 minutes in that last outing, hit the box bonus 4 of the last 5 games. I am just going to keep tethering them together and losing money, and maybe eventually I will find it.
Yep. And so for Colorado, we didn't have a practice with Nate McKinnon. He, I believe, suffered a facial injury of some sort, but it doesn't seem like he's going to miss time. But with all that said, we're sort of assuming that Druin and Rantanen are going to be with McKinnon. And then, Lehkonen, that means shifts down to either, I don't know what you want to call it. I'm not even sure who number 22 is. They're moving Johansson to the 4th line, which is very funny. But basically, I wanted to keep an eye on Lehkonen since obviously 4,500 with the power play role that he had picked up over Ross Colton. Is clearly interesting. But if it's Jonathan Jewin, I don't know, like fool me 1,000 times, Druin. It just doesn't seem like that's of any interest, despite power play 1, line 1, because the dude just sucks. So, um, yeah, I want to play McKinnon bad here, and Rantanen's obviously very good, and McCarr too, but you just run out of space when you're trying to play OV as well. And I'm not sure there's any punts I can get on board with here. So I'm keeping an eye on morning skate, Colorado, for sure.
All right, yeah, we can keep it moving then. We have the Islanders at home against the back-to-back Seattle team. I think we talked about this we talked about them in decent depth, I believe, on Thursday. And they were, chalky against Tampa, and they smashed. And then I feel like I was like, you know what, this Islanders team just might be good. I'm going to bet on their players to be good against the Flames, and they were good. They were actually very good. They just couldn't score. So with all that out of the way, are you considering the inevitable chop monster, Kyle Palmieri? Or, I mean, is it just Russian roulette with this guy? I mean, do we just play him every night and hope that he has his 11 or 8, or um, is it just every fifth game we play him? How are we doing this?
Yeah, I mean the problem is that the lines got screwed up, and now it's even grosser. It's Anders Lee with Nelson Palmieri and like Engvall with Horvat Barzal. Like I just have no interest in these guys. I don't know. It like 7K Bo
Sure.
Horvat. Like I can't do it. I understand that they've been a little bit better under Patrick Waugh, but like they're still not very good. And I feel like people have just wildly overreacted to this Patrick Waugh stuff in a way that I didn't really think was possible. Like last week we did our full podcast for Thursday, and literally we might have even breezed past the Islanders, and they were like 30 something percent owned on like a 7 game slate. It was unbelievable to me. It was against Tampa, I think, and like just I think the field is just vastly over projecting these guys. And so like if you've been on that train, go for it by all means, but I'm not. So I'm just sadly going to say, look, Matthew Barzell, like you're not a player who I'm willing to play into ownership whatsoever. Um, so yeah, I'm largely out until I see something that the field's softening on these guys because the prices just don't make sense to me. I'll put it that way.
Sure. Yep. No, I think that's incredibly fair. And honestly, on the other side too, it feels a bit overpriced for Seattle on a back to back. Like, who are you playing? Jared McCann at 6,200? No. Bjorkstrand at 57 is like still bad. I just yeah, I just don't think I'm going to have the cap to afford anything in the lowest total game, which I don't just really disagree with. Like, I think it's probably around there. And again, like you go back to that Islanders game, and they ended up being a 1.7 expected goals for the Flames, and they get 5. Like, yeah, I just don't think that's going to continue, especially with a Seattle team that, as you already mentioned, struggles to score, especially at 5-on-5. So I don't see the
Yeah.
upside here on a back-to-back. I'm fine to just move on to another game that is a bit stinky, I'd say, but interesting maybe to discuss. Are you ready to get over to Carolina and Dallas?
Carolina, Dallas. Yes, I'm more than ready. The fighting Marty Necas pulled off the stunning 1-0 overtime victory over the weekend. So, not necessarily coming in hot offensively, but Shutchikov is back. He played almost 20 minutes in that game. So that's a good sign. Is it a good enough sign, though, for you to be considering these Carolina guys heading into Dallas? I guess we'll start with that before talking about Dallas and how they absolutely screwed you on a Saturday.
Sure, yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Oh boy, I really do like the Carolina lineup a lot more now. Like, this is kind of almost what I put together myself. Like, I don't think I'd have Teravainen with Svechnikov and Aho personally, but whatever. I think Nate Choss should be with at least one other guy, whether it be Teravainen, Jarvis, or Svechnikov. And I think it makes more sense to put him with the Jarvis myself. Like, that's just the way my brain works. So it's not perfect, but the top power play is not fully correlated, almost fully correlated with Aho and Svechnikov and all that. All of this to say, I would be betting on Svechnikov. If I'm going to be betting on Carolina, that's the guy. And Nate House has been absolutely red hot. His price has gone up like 1,000 over the past
Yeah.
month, or not quite, like 700. You're paying for it. He's on the top power play, as I was just kind of alluding to, and he's playing with Drury and Bunting. So it's like he is that good. And like I am again, I mean, you're talking to a guy that was like 22% Nachos in best buck, because I truly did believe that this was the guy we were getting. And we didn't get it for a long time, and I looked stupid. I wouldn't mind if it came on now. If he wants to just rip through the league February through April and help me win money, I'm fine with that now. But like, I'm not playing it here against Dallas at 5K. Like, I just don't really think the upside is quite as high as I would like it to be. And I do think people are going to play it.
Yeah, the main issue I have with Svechnikov is that I do really respect this Dallas top pairing, and I do feel like Aho Svechnikov will get a healthy dose of Harley Heiskanen, and I'm not sure that's a matchup I want to bet on
Yeah.
teams winning all that often. Um, so on the road too, like I feel safe in fading Carolina. Like there's no one who's a standout value anymore with everyone back at full health, full strength. We kind of know what Jack Drury is. Like he's not even if Nichas has a natural hat trick, for instance, he's not likely to kill you. So like, you're pretty much talking one-offs from Carolina for me personally. Anything else before? Actually, let's keep this going. For Dallas, we saw Hintz,
Yeah.
Robertson, Pavelski last game. They sent Wyatt Johnston to the Shadow Realm by centering Jamie
Yep.
Benn. So Johnston is dead. It was fun. We had a fun couple weeks there, Wyatt, but Pavelski's been awesome, like for fantasy purposes, his underlings look
Yeah.
fantastic. He's certainly not the player that he was even last year or 2 years ago as far as his play driving. But it's made up for in the price tags. I mean, Jason Robertson continues to be free falling in price, 6,300 for this guy. Not sure what's happening here, but like the line is still producing. They're just not getting a ton of volume in either end of the ice. So for me, it's Dallas one or nothing um, for forwards, but I'm just gonna keep playing Heiskanen and Harley paired together because they are just a ton of fun. I mean, these dudes are shooting the lights out of the puck. Harley continues to put up goals. So like the price tag just does not reflect the upside on these two, and they correlate really well. Like it's not like most like oh you gotta play one of them. Like these two dudes play off each other so well. So that's for me what I'm doing. Like the Heiskanen and
Yep.
Harley stuff, just continue to rev it up.
Yeah, yeah, and I do think that like that's where my betting card is going to end up on is like just taking both of them for a point. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it together or not, and I'm going to double check the numbers. But this Thomas Harley situation is just he's still like decent plus money for a point, and the books just haven't caught up because they're like, oh, he only
Yeah,
has like what, like freaking 30 points in 49 games. Well, that's the percentage we're going to work on, and it's like, well, it's all coming now that they put everything together properly, other than their top line. Yeah, so I'm in on that, and I just don't really think I'm going to be playing it in DFS, but I definitely get like this feels like when we used to talk about if you're playing the Flames, like you got to play the defenseman. Uh, Dallas feels very similar, where it's like if you're playing Dallas one and you're not including one of these defensemen or both or however you're doing it, I think you got to re-roll it. You got to figure it back out again because you've done it wrong.
sure.
Um, we can move over to New Jersey and Nashville because this is honestly I think my DJ Galaxy Brain play of the night. If you're ready for it.
I would be surprised if it were Galaxy Brain, to be honest. I do believe the field will be pretty on top of things. But so Nashville gets to face off with a New Jersey team playing on a back-to-back, traveling from New Jersey to Nashville. Which, it's a short flight, I guess, but not necessarily like a New York to New York type back-to-back. Um, and we get two guys in Nashville who are supreme power play values, Tyson Berry, 3,100, and Cody Glass at 2,800. Cody Glass has played 15 minutes or more in each of the last 4 games. So I personally think that Nashville is going to be very chalky. And I think this is a spot where I'm more than willing to eat ownership. Forsberg has been amazing. Cody Glass and Tyson Berry make really good values. And then obviously Yossi and Ryan O'Reilly are always there. They're always doing stuff, and are hit or miss fantasy wise this season, but certainly in good spots if you're betting on them. So anything more Galaxy Brain than that, DJ, because I don't think that's Galaxy Brain at all.
I really just thought it was going to be like the maybe like the seventh or eighth most owned stack, and you're telling me it's going to be like the third. I feel like
It's a 6.5, and Nashville is a sizable favorite. So I would be shocked if they weren't a top 3 owned stack.
okay, Toronto, Ottawa, Oilers, Vancouver, Predators are kind of like
Yep.
the core, I
Pricing
guess, that I'm thinking, right?
pricing on and the pricing on Nashville, just I mean, you can play Glass, you can play Barry, and Forsberg is not that
Yeah.
expensive, and I think
Okay.
Forsberg will project among the highest guys on the slate. So That's my
All
reasoning.
right.
I still
All
think
right.
it's the best play. Like, so just play the best plays,
Yeah.
DJ.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be clear.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I could just play the best plays. I had them at like the fifth of that grouping, and then whatever. You know more than me about that garbage. I'm not going to argue with you. You definitely do more understand. Yeah, I love the Nashville. Everything you just said is what I'm thinking. You already kind of went over the top power play. Barry up on that top unit. I think that's what they ran in practice. 19 minutes. That's the one guy I kind of just wanted to, I guess, point out a little bit more at 3,100. Like, if you're going to be trying to get, do these top stacks, let's say, for example, you're going to need to save. Would you consider going Barry over Yossi, or is that just kind of
Oh, absolutely.
potentially just
You're
cutting yourself off
talking.
the
I mean,
kneecaps? Okay.
no, I'm the number one Tyson Berry guy here. So, yeah, no, Berry's
Yeah.
an awesome
Well,
play.
okay. Yeah. I thought that was it. I mean, they did play at 5-on-5 together, but Yossi plays so many more minutes than Barry that like he does correlate with some other guys as well.
Mhm.
He was out there with McDonough for a little stretch. McDonough, I think, did he score the OT winner or something stupid? It was something stupid like that. Doesn't really
I
matter
think
right
so.
now. All of this to say, I do really like Nashville. We could just talk about the Devils for a second. They're playing right now. They're up 3-0 on Seattle. Goes to show you that Seattle's not all that good. The Hughes line is dominating. They had the 5-on-5 goal, and then Toffoli scored in the power play from Hughes and Hischier. But I've just been kind of gleaning over that Toffoli Hughes situation. I went right back to the well tonight on it, and I'm being rewarded. So no problem with it, but it is very, 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 very expensive. I don't think it's going to be popular. On the other hand, Jack Hughes is also listed at wing, which is what he played. So it's not wrong. I mean, they had Howla at
Yeah.
center with Hughes and Toffoli. Toffoli is a good enough savings. Like 5,200 Toffoli is kind of all of this. I guess everything I'm saying right now is like in the bring back spot. I could see myself playing Toffoli. He's actually been driving play pretty well. And with Jack Hughes, man,
Yeah.
like 5,200 for this guy seems like quite a steal.
Yeah, Toffoli disappeared, but he's back. He's been back with a vengeance the past couple weeks, and there's no clear reason to anticipate that stopping. So yeah, I like that line as well for some leverage if you don't want to play Nashville. To just say, yeah, well, New Jersey keeps it up. So let's get over to Vancouver, Chicago. I will say for Chicago, the only player I'm somewhat interested in is Nick Foligno. He's been really good. He's playing a bunch of minutes. He's going to be out there in all situations. But I'm not interested in stacking things. I'm not considering Seth Jones at his current price tag. So yeah, it's Nick Foligno or nothing. Anything else on Chicago before you touch on your favorite Vancouver guys?
Absolutely not. We could just move over to Vancouver. I gone back to the well twice in a row now on Vancouver too. Basically, just believing that Elias Lindholm was only going to improve that second line and not make it worse than the first line. Just trying to use my logic, and then watching them play, it looked good. But the offense has gone through Pedersen entirely over the past couple of games.
Mhm.
Um, don't really think they're going to be breaking things up. Hoglander was it's just been electric. Jesus, that guy rocks. I don't again just another one of those players. Like him and Wallstrom, I feel like are kind of joining the same category where it's like, do the coaches not watch these guys? Are they not watching them play? Neil
Eh,
Hoglander, absolutely dominant, flying up and down the ice with the puck. 11 minutes of ice time. Cool.
I'm gonna say he's
What are
more
you
of
gonna
an
say?
Alex Holtz than a Wallstrom, where clearly the ship has sailed on
Yeah,
Wallstrom. But I think for Holtz, Holtz and Hoglander, like yeah, it's there. It's not really ever present. But I
I
certainly
think you're
don't
splitting that hair for me. Yeah.
like I don't understand why Hoglander's not getting power play run, and that's what really makes this difficult because yeah, you want to say Vancouver too, but they're pretty expensive, and Hoglander Pedersen is just a lot more fun, but it's tougher to depend upon. So I don't know.
Yep.
I'm pretty much
Yeah,
lukewarm on
I'm
Vancouver in general.
if I'm playing Vancouver, it's the second line, and it's largely out of
Sure.
self hatred, probably, but it actually really is just Elias Lindholm. I think is actually very, very good. The volume's there. He's producing high, uh, high danger chances. He's involved on that power play just as much as anyone not named Pedersen or Quinn Hughes. So I have no issue with it at all. So I think it's through the second unit, and I could even see myself one-off Lindholm at the price tag, 5,700. I think that's about where I'm starting to reach my limit, but I still think it's fine. And I'm gonna sneeze. Okay.
All right.
Last game.
So, yep, last game, Detroit, Edmonton. We have Detroit stuff. It's pretty much the status quo. DeBrincat, Kane, Sprong are on a separate power play from Larkin and Comfer and Raymond and Perron. So you just, I don't think you want to play Detroit heading into Edmonton. Would you agree with me there?
You don't want to pay. No, I agree. I mean, if you pay AK for Dylan Larkin tonight, I think you have a couple rocks loose for sure. Go on.
Sure. And so what that means is that on the Edmonton front, we're sort of stuck between, what are we doing with like Evander Kane, Draisaitl, and Perry versus the top line of obviously McDavid, Hyman, RNH, who are better. They're going to project better, but they're far more expensive. So, do you have any thoughts of like how you're willing to allocate your salary here between these two lines? I think we can rule out the McLeod, Fogel, Holloway line. As much as I don't want to, I kind of think we have to.
Yeah, we do. God, I mean, such a large part of me would rather die than play 3K Corey Perry, but it's a good play.
Mhm.
It is so expensive. I think I'm just playing the McDavid line, and I said I wouldn't waver on this Edmonton team, and I go through the entire slate. Now I'm
Yeah.
sitting here like, am I really paying all of this cap for
All
Edmonton
right.
one?
Yeah.
I love the spot. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the spot for Edmonton. I think I could see myself capitulating for real and using the word correctly and going back. Actually, I've already capitulated. I'm going to stop talking. I could see myself ending up
Okay.
on the McDavid line. At the end of the day, there's enough savings here to make it doable. And I actually think after discussing that they're probably actually going to be that fifth or sixth highest owned stack. With McDavid, being a bit higher, but like
Yeah.
there's so much to like on this slate.
Yeah, agree. So let's wrap things up with top stacks, guaranteed goals, and get on out of here. So, do you have any guaranteed goals off the bat for me?
Huh? No.
Jesus Christ, I did it again, didn't I? Top stacks, DJ, go.
Yeah. It was good. I was like, wait, why are we doing it? Yeah, I'm just gonna do Nashville, ROR, Forsberg, Yossi, and if you want to just sprinkle Barry in there, you could sprinkle Barry in there.
Okay. I will go with the tried and true Joe Pavelski with Mira Heiskanen and Thomas Harley. I really like playing these two Dallas guys together. Um, I just think it's really hard to win defense these days. Like we're not even having those like can't miss it stealing seasons from Makar and Yossi. To just say like, oh yeah, just jam these guys every night. And I truly think that the nuclear ceiling of these two Dallas guys exists in a way that just doesn't exist elsewhere defensively. So I like getting my D spots out of the way that way. And then Joe Pavelski has been the best Dallas guy, not named Wyatt Johnston. And we said Johnson is dead and no longer playable alongside Jamie Benn. So what else you got?
I'll do the Ottawa at the Norris, the Chuck, Shabbat, and I'm assuming that's going to be run me out of money completely. But Norris is a decent
Probably.
saving, so I feel like the
Okay.
answer is just take out Ryan O'Reilly from my mix and just run the Forsberg Yossi. But if I want to actually build around this kind of core, but yeah, it's doable.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to bet Norris for your guaranteed goals. So sorry if I ruined that.
No, we'll see. I had my guy, so we'll see what else comes with it. Um, for my second one, I am going to go with McTavish, Terry, and Minchikov. You can obviously go Vetrano here, but that's a little power play correlation there, and obviously a defense spot in Minchikov, who was very, very good before his injury. And we're sort of now projecting him to fill in the Drysdale role that we talked about right when he got hurt. So I'm excited to see it. I want to be early to it, and on the road in Montreal is the least imposing of spots, as the St. Louis Blues can attest to. All right, now is it time? All right,
Now
I'm going
it's
to lead
time.
things off.
You already have one,
Yeah.
so cue it up.
Trevor Moore. I mean, Trevor Moore is scoring a goal at 6,300 against the Sabres. Moore has been awesome. He's not scored in, I think, five games now. And I say that changes here. He's been taking a bunch of shots. They're not getting on net. Just, everything you want to see from the guy besides the production has been there. I think tonight that changes. And Trevor Moore is my first guaranteed goal.
Okay. Did you have Perry in your stack there for Anaheim?
Yes.
Did you? Yeah, you did, didn't you? Okay. That's fine. I don't need to take him by any stretch of the imagination. I was just trying to go mid because you're going like, I'll go low high. I'll do my low as Alex Newhook. I'm gonna go with 3K Alex Newhook, 3,300 Alex Newhook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Yep, Norris would have fit perfectly there, of course.
Just take him. Just take him.
I mean, yeah, Josh Norris is my boy. He's scoring a goal here.
Yeah, just take Josh Norris. You don't have to overthink this. He is objectively correct, and I felt bad for taking it from you. I'll go with Draisaitl. Leon, Newhook,
wow.
and you have Moore and Norris. We were 2 for 4 last time out, by the way. I will say that. We both had one correct. I had Nachov, he had a hat trick, and you had Keller, and he scored. Congratulations. Lindholm did not score last time out because I'm pretty sure Vancouver got shut out, and I don't remember the other guy. I deleted it already. So this is a good podcast. I like this.
Let's get out of here. So thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. And yeah, any final words, CJ?
Nope. I was just excited to get back to a big Tuesday slate. Kind of feels like we're getting back to normal after the All-Star break. And we have stuff in the works. I'm trying to work on a couple things that I'm excited about, and we'll discuss that another time after you're done with dinner. But we're looking at this thing. So other endeavors as well with hockey. Maybe add some more to your mix because everyone wants more of me, I'm sure.
I'll add some winning. All right. Let's close out. I'm at Fake Mood on Twitter. DJ's at DJ_Mitchell94, and the podcast is at Morningscape Pod. Find us on YouTube, on TikTok, everything else. You want it, you have it. We're going for it. We're going for it all, as DJ will attest to. So thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, from myself. Happy slate, everybody, and we will see you.